Billy Carson continues to flat out lie about the history of Jesus Christ. It's really amazing when you go point by point and look up the information yourself, that you can see every single claim he makes is a flat out lie. The people who follow him must not do any research at all. So we're going to watch this video, The Story of Jesus, featuring Billy Carson, and take point by point what he says to counter the history of Jesus and prove that what he's teaching and saying is a flat out lie.
Yeshua, what's interesting is when he turns 12, he disappears out of the Bible. But where does he go? There's a very little known text named the Gospel of the Holy 12, where he actually goes to Egypt to learn the Egyptian mysteries. He then goes to Tibet to learn healing with his hands and Reiki and Qigong. And then he ends up going down to India to learn the mystic arts. And he's teaching reincarnation, really is his primary teaching that he had.
So, it's pretty amazing if you think about how many historical texts there are of people who lived with Jesus, the 4 different Gospels, talking about the life of Jesus, and he teaches and talks nothing about anything about reincarnation, about Hinduism, about Reiki healing, all this stuff. And so Billy says that this is from the Gospel of the Holy 12, when you look into it, some of the main teachings of the Gospel of the Holy 12 are vegetarianism. People who are biblical scholars discount this as being true, as well as even animal rights activists who've looked into it have proven this is not to be true. One of the reasons why this book was not added to the Bible is because it counters the countless times of what the other books, the authentic books of the Bible, actually have to say, such as Romans 14:2-23. For one believes he may eat all things, but he who is weak eats only vegetables. That doesn't mean we're supposed to look down on people who think that's the right thing, because it says, let not him who eats despise him who does not eat, and let him who does not eat judge him who eats, for God has received him. But we know, not only from that, but that there's the miracle of Jesus telling his disciples to cast the net off the side of the boat and collect a large collection of fish. Why would Jesus do that? And in Luke 21, when Jesus is resurrected and he comes back and sees his disciples after the miracle of the fish, he's on the shore and he's cooked a fish for him and his disciples to eat. This is why this book was not counted, because countless other books show it to be false by the teachings in the authentic books.
Reincarnation, because really, if you're in essence, that's what the Bible actually is teaching anyway, but they just kind of shielded it from you in a way that, or worded it in a way that you didn't understand it. It was talking about getting a new body and a new name and all that kind of stuff. But regardless, he's teaching reincarnation. He reappears in the modern day Bible, coming on the back of the donkey, claiming to be the Messiah. According to the biblical text, the Bible says, I called my son out of Egypt. That's when he reappears then, coming into Jerusalem on the back of a donkey at age of 32, I believe.
So again, there's no proof that Jesus went to India. Many scholars who have looked into it say that there's no proof of this. It's mainly been oral traditions passed down in Tibet of people who've claimed this. There's been multiple people who have written books about it saying that he was in India, but then there's no proof of it whatsoever. Looking into it, there's no theory of this. There's many scholars and people who've looked into this and studied this and shown that there's zero proof that Jesus went to India, besides talking, people just saying in India that he went there. And again, why would he not teach the teachings of Hinduism? Why would he not teach the Reiki healing? Why would he not teach these new age types of ideologies? Because this isn't what he believed. There's so much written about Jesus, and then Billy wants to believe the one claim that there's no proof on. That's what he does countless times.
In the Sinai Bible, which predates the modern King James Bible, he was never crucified. Not even crucified.
So the Sinai Bible is the Codex Sinaiticus, and it's got many different books. It's got some of the Old Testament, some of the New Testament, as well as some of the pseudo-epigrapha books that just have no evidence and that they're fake news. I mean, there's fake history as well. Billy would post certain things like this on his Instagram page. If the news is fake, imagine history. He didn't post this exact one, but he's posted things very similar to this. So he believes that history has been corrupted and faked as well. So to go back and think that there's not people who took the teachings of Christ and manipulated them for their own beliefs, that people didn't do that, of course they did. And then Billy wants to believe these books over the countless books showing the truth about Jesus.
And what more recently, they discovered the book of Jesus's wife, which is at the Harvard Seminary. And this proves that he also got married. And so I don't believe he...
Again, This is the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene suggests a story that the gospel is unfinished. Christian doctrines and practices are not fixed dogmas, and that one can only accept or reject. Rather, Christians are required to step into the story and work together to shape the meaning of the gospel in their own time. Now, this gospel had a lot of teachings about women's rights and things going on in the time. And again, these manuscripts are found to be a lot newer than the ancient ones that we have of the true stories of Jesus. So when you look at what this book is actually teaching, it seems more like somebody who was on the side of women's rights at the time and didn't think that the exact dogmas of Christianity should be practiced, took the Christian doctrines and wrote their own teachings, and they're claiming that this is the gospel of Mary Magdalene. Again, it's sad to see Billy believing these over the biblical truths. And one reason that we can trust the Bible is these are the different books in the Bible here on the bottom, and you can see how many different references there are to each other, explaining each other, referring to each other. If the gospel of Mary Magdalene was true, you would see this chart shoot off way off in the distance because it doesn't line up. Same with the gospel of the Holy 12, the gospel of Barnabas, and those don't line up with each other. They're all their own unique false teachings that don't have any of the backing of the other books. We can study all the books together and see, okay, it makes sense when you read them together which ones are authentic because they explain themselves.
He was ever crucified whatsoever. I don't believe it's just a farce made up by the Roman Catholic Church. I don't believe any crucifixion actually ever even occurred. I believe that.
So there's obviously, of course, a lot of information about Jesus's crucifixion. First off, God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. As in all the churches of the saints, God's not going to lie and say false things to confuse people. Again, you can look at the chart and see how it explains itself. There's also various non-Christian sources from antiquity, including Roman and Jewish historians, philosophers, and religious texts, providing evidence that supports that a man named Jesus was crucified under the rule of Pontius Pilate. So again, Billy just doesn't want to believe it. He wants to believe the things that support his New Age ideology, his doctrines of demons. He doesn't want to believe the biblical truths.
That the man lived, had children, and I think that his bloodline is called the Merovingian bloodline. And the Merovingian bloodline is still walking the planet till this very day. And
this is where he just gets into the weird New Age stuff. If he thinks Jesus is just a man who learned teachings in Tibet, which he could obviously go do if he wanted to, if Jesus was just a regular guy, and then why would he care if the bloodline of Jesus is living on today? It's just this weird New Age knowledge, secret history and bloodline stuff that he wants to believe, but he won't believe the clear history. He just wants to believe the history that backs up his ideas, which are clearly founded in doctrines of demons. Literally, the books that God said is made from demons are the things that he goes to support his complete claims and deny all the other truths that are found in the Bible.
And he was put here to accomplish a mission, trying to raise consciousness, but it got twisted and turned dark really, really quick. And unfortunately, it turned into what they call a crap. I don't want to use the S word, but a crap show. They turned this thing into a whole thing that it wasn't supposed to be. Unfortunately, the people in positions of power twisted it all around for control and dominance, and his message got stifled. The message was, "We are gods. You are gods." As a matter of fact, he never said that he was going to return. He said the Christ would return, which is the Christ consciousness. There were many Christs before Jesus Christ.
Again, Billy Carson just flat out lies. The people that he teaches, hundreds of thousands of people who listen to him, they just don't look it up for themselves. He says Jesus never said that he was the Christ. This is a flat out lie. John 4:25-26, in a book of the words of Jesus. The woman said to him, "I know that Messiah is coming, who is called Christ. When he comes, he will tell us all things." Jesus said to her, "I who speak to you am he." Countless times, Jesus said this. Matthew 16:13-20 says this as well. In 15-17, he said to them, "Who do you say that I am?" Simon Peter said, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." Jesus said to him, "Simon, son of Jonah, you are happy because you did not learn this from man. My Father in heaven has shown you this." It's sad to see Billy will just flat out lie. And I pray that his eyes will be opened, because he's just completely deceived by the truth. He's not led by the truth at all. He's deceived by doctrines of demons, and he just rejects the truth on every single level. It's sad to see, really.
Christ have existed for eons. It's a level of awareness and consciousness. It's an ascended mentality. And when the ascended mentality, when that returns back to the planet, that's the second coming.
Once again, another complete lie, saying that Jesus didn't say he's coming back. That's referenced so many times in the Bible, the second coming of Jesus Christ. Revelation 19 is a clear description of the return of Christ on a white horse, not the Christ consciousness. No, none of his even books or his clay tablets or his false gospels and false history books say anything about that as well. This is something he's making up on his own. Christ returning on the white horse. Now I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he who sat on him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he judges and makes war. His eyes were like a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. He had a name written that no one knew except himself. He was clothed with a robe dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of God. I mean, it's extremely descriptive. It goes on and on. He's the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. He's coming to rule the nations. It has nothing to do with a consciousness level returning. It has nothing to do with a Christ consciousness that has existed forever. One of his main beliefs that Billy Carson believes is the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, which are, again, a completely proven false doctrine created by an occultist in Colorado who's a failed car salesman and a failed science fiction writer. It's continuing in every single level. Billy continues to just teach things that are completely false and have no backing in what the biblical history proves or anything like this. It's sad. He's led astray by the doctrines of demons. In 1 Timothy 4:1, now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times some will depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. This is something that we're told will increase as time goes on, that there'll be doctrines of devils, doctrines of demons that people will believe that are teaching untrue things about Jesus Christ and about God. And sadly, this is what Billy believes. All these doctrines, all these books and manuscripts and clay tablets are demonically inspired, are false information for people's personal gain or whatever the case is. These are what Billy finds his truth in, and it's completely false. So I pray that Billy Carson will have his eyes open to the truth, because Jesus cares about him just like he does for everybody. He died for Billy, crucified on the cross for his sins, just like he did for everyone else. And so I just pray that Billy's eyes will be opened, and that anybody who believes these other doctrines of demons will do the research and see they're false, and do the research in the Bible and see it's true. Jesus changes lives. Thoth the Atlantean isn't changing anybody's life. Jesus Christ saves people, saves families, heals people, brings people new life all the time. We don't find this in any other text. Jesus alone is the truth. I pray Billy will see that, and I pray everybody who doesn't see that will see that as well. Thanks for watching. Hope and pray you're well. God bless.